Welcome back to the Win with Dice podcast, a podcast featuring members of the Win with Dice team. I'm Calvin, and I'm joined here by Ramon.
Hey guys, this is your first time listening to the Win with Dice podcast where we talk about tabletop RPGs, running them, playing them. Calvin and I like to take a casual approach to the hobby, and we like to share our stories as players and as GMs, and all the fun games that we get to run and play in. So you might want to jump to the other side of the GM screen and take up the mantle for your table, or jump in the hobby in general. It's super fun, and it's definitely not any corpers be corping.
I mean, there's some of that, but
there's a little bit of that these days. But that's okay.
But we try to
take my dice from my cold dead hands, you AI robot.
I could pretend to be an AI DM. I think I could get paid for that.
Yeah, right. I bet it's really just like real people, but it's just like they outsourced it. Oh no.
Perfect job for me.
Perfect job. Yeah. New future jobs, jobs of the future, right? Anyway, welcome to the podcast, folks.
Indeed. We take a casual approach to running games. Hopefully you can take a shot at, hopping on the other side of the GM screen, as Ramon said. This week, we're going to talk about a Pathfinder game that we recently played that was run by our friend Tim. Continuation of the Unintended Consequences campaign that had a very dramatic plot. The plot has twisted and thickened. It is it's like a licorice stick at this point. And we are going to get into that. Before we do, we have to get to the most important part of the show. The Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week.
Yeah, the Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week. Brought to you this week by Calvin. Thanks, Calvin.
Yeah. So this is going to be related to the game we're getting into, but it is something that I also try to do myself. But just as a GM, as you're playing a game, especially when it goes on for like an extended number of sessions, sometimes it's a good idea to have just a sense of all the ongoing plot threads, just either keeping them in the back of your mind as something you can bring up later, or if you want to, this is something I do because I know my memory is basically a colander with extra holes. I like to sometimes try to keep track of things that I know have been mentioned but haven't been concluded or haven't been brought up for a while, just because something that we sometimes talk about is having a living, breathing world, and there are things that'll go on outside the scope of the player's knowledge, and these things may progress outside of the player's knowledge. And sometimes you can bring those threads back around just to show the players that, hey, here's something that's been happening while you were out of this town. It could be something that the players had an effect on. It could be something that was just, ongoing that they happened to evade or go around or ignore at the time. If they had some, side quest or something that they chose a different direction from and didn't deal with, did someone else deal with it? Did that situation get worse? What news is there about it? That sort of thing. Just having an idea of small ongoing threads can be a great way to, sort of fall back and go back to them later and bring them back up as something that has been, occurring or going on that your players may, be surprised to be made aware of.
Yeah, spoilers turns for this recap.
But
yeah, folks. Yeah, it's always a good idea to kind of, even if you're using a computer or something, or even a notebook, just put unconcluded or plot thread left off here. It's also really good to further down the line, if you're having writer's block or something, you can just go back through your unresolved threads and just be like, oh, I can bring this in, and that can push the plot or give you an idea of where you want your story to go and how your venture wants to do. Actually, I have to go back and look through all of my plot points too for a bunch of other campaigns, see if I can piecemeal something together. But yeah, there you go, folks. There's your Win with Dice Weekly GM Tip of the Week. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, so let's get into the recap of Unintended Consequences, the campaign that's a sequel to the Pathfinder 2e version of Lost Mine of Fentelver that our friend Tim ran for us. We thought we were safe. We truly, truly did. So recently, I think it was actually just last week's episode, we talked about being in the Cowboy Dimension and how we spent some time there looking for a rival of one of the members of our party. That party consists of Silrona, a human cowboy wizard, Teeks, a changeling druid, Phalum, a human fighter, Bren, human ranger / monk, Kavo, a half-orc barbarian, and Cass, who had temporarily joined us as Kavo's player was trying something different while we were in the cowboy dimension. Cass seemed to be a fighter of some sort. When we last left our heroes, we had run into High Hat Harry, a rival of Silrona's and an interdimensional traveler who had recently come to the fantasy realm and taken a shot at Teeks' father, Henrik. Though we were able to stabilize Henrik just barely, we had to chase down High Hat into the cowboy dimension, which is basically just like 1800s America.
Yeah, it was literally 1800s America. I don't know if it was like the place was stuck in 1800s America or like it just was America and this is the time frame that we're in. Like, I don't know when it's like timeline versus dimension, you know what I mean? Like,
that's true. We don't know
universe, like, we don't know. Yeah. So, but anyway, it was the 1800s in America, out in the West, with cowboys and bandits and all sorts of stuff like that.
A whole lot of pistols as well, some of which we've brought back to our fantasy realm. So I'm sure there will be no long-term consequences of that.
I mean, probably not. There is. I mean, we're playing technically in the Sword Coast, but it's basically like, there's guns in Pathfinder now. There's lots of good rules for them. I think we're obviously using them, so it's fine. They've thought about this. It's fine. The stat blocks are there. It'll be fine.
So we encountered High Hat Harry, and in doing battle with him and his gang, Thalum ended up falling in battle and had died. And we had come back basically dealing with the consequences of that. So Teeks was doing some healing for the rest of the party, everyone who was down, Silrona and Cass specifically, as well as doing her best to try to clean up Thalum, because Teeks ended up being the team mom, and she would occasionally do prestidigitation to, it was mostly Thalum and Bren, but to just clean those two up and make sure they looked presentable. So she was trying her best to do that with Thalum after he basically got shot and then bled out in the desert.
Yeah. Post-mortem, sad times follow. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think like it was tough because you go, you keep going. I'll put my 2 cents into this.
Yeah, there was a lot going on for Silrona. We'll get to that. But the moment Cass was brought back to life, he just was angry and frustrated and said he was done with all of this, and that his family was right. And then he tore off a necklace that he was wearing, revealing the illusion they had cast over himself, disguising the fact that he wasn't exactly the fighter we thought he was, but actually a bard of sorts. And then he had cast a heal spell on himself before taking one of the bandits' horses and riding off. As he did, 2 figures had appeared beside him before they had all disappeared, which left us all pretty stunned and surprised. I think Cass was trying to be helpful, but I think he was kind of getting some bad rolls there as well, so that didn't really do anything in his favor.
Yeah, in all honesty, it was the biggest. I don't want to say because Tim was in it, but Tim was obviously in on the thing was going on with Cass's character, Cass's player. But my God, was this the wrong time? Oh my God! We were literally trying to track down the most dangerous man we have ever come across, and we literally fought a dragon. You know what I mean?
He might be second on the list at this point, but yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I'm that dragon. I'm pretty sure that High Hat could kill that dragon at this point.
Ooh.
I'm pretty sure. High Hat's rolls were so high, he would have crit the dragon. That's how wild it was. This dude fucking puts people on ice. and Cass's player was like, let me play a joke character in the most serious fucking situation our party has ever been in. And I'm like, what? Because I was like, I was really oh man, it sucks that, that player's character was oh yeah, it had some bad rolls or whatever, right? because like it's unfortunate, right? Like I legitimately didn't. He literally didn't do anything. Like what I mean, like he would show up and roll like nothing and then get hit, which sucks. But it was like 2 sessions in a row, and I was like, oh man, that sucks. But finding out that he's not even a fighter, and he doesn't even have a good attack bonus, and I'm like, we just talked about last week about how attack bonuses are so important. And now I am the saddest boy. And the fact that he could heal people, he could have healed Fallum, wouldn't be in the situation. Yes.
Oh
yes.
yeah.
And the fact that he's a fucking bard who could have put out +1s with his goddamn fucking bard inspirations. I should probably start swearing because of YouTube.
God. No, but it's fine. It's not within the first 15 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, but jeez. I know that, like, Sorona was mad because one of his longest friends just died. Like his quarry, his enemy, his arch rival, right? Somebody who has the same powers as him, like, iced his friend, and like some new asshole was like goofing around. I'm like,
I didn't even think of that. I didn't even think of what.
I had to like take a breather for a sec because like I was getting a little mad at Cass's player, and I was like, nope, can't do that, right?
I mean, I think it makes sense. Sorona knows more about magic than anyone, so he would have realized what Cass was capable of.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 6th level bard. He could have helped a lot more than what he did by simply just stop being an asshole. But, like, anyway, besides the point, super secret second tip right off the bat. Don't get mad at players at your table. It doesn't solve anything, even though you thought, anything. Just shut up, take a break. It's fine. It's a game.
Yeah, it's the dice's fault.
It's the dice's fault. I wouldn't have done anything if that player was like rolling, if Cass was rolling like high, right? So like if Cass was rolling 20s, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know. But yeah, that was a hard pill to swallow as a player and as my character Silrona. So
yeah, I was too wrapped up in like that he was trying to do this thing. I didn't even think of like, oh, he could have been doing this instead. I didn't even think about it.
Like even if he casted like heal, like Fallum would have literally been alive.
Yeah, because I couldn't get there in time.
I feel like, to be fair, Fallon's player is like not that concerned. He's like, oh, cool, I get to
the least concerned out of everyone in the game.
Yeah, but everybody's like, damn, Fallon, we miss you. Tears, like ugly crying. Fallon's player's like, whatever. Let's get some new assholes show up. Which is like, okay, it's fine, but damn it. Damn it.
But
it's tough when player characters die. It's tough, man. You build a weird, like, pseudo friendship with an imaginary character. It's like now we can't even make those jokes anymore with Fallum.
No. Well, I'm sure everybody's thinking of a good backup character now.
Yeah, I literally made 2. I was like, I'm gonna have to tell Tim. One is fine, and the other one's crazy. So, like, one is like normal, and the other idea is like, oh, this is a fighting game character for sure. So.
Hey, I mean, again, I was making a summoner specifically to be a stand user, so.
I know. I thought about that. I thought about we should all go in on like the same character. I just all be like summoners. Just be JoJo characters. That would be the funniest game. And Tim would be like, I don't know what's happening. And all we're just saying is just the entire time. Like a bunch of idiots.
I mean, I would.
Yeah.
So Cass rode off into the desert, but we did manage to capture one of the bandits, one that had like a metal arm attached to him, and we were interrogating this guy. And I wanted to strike him down, but we were getting too much useful information out of him to do so, and there was the potential that Hi Hat would come back for him, or at least that's what he believed. But
He was very adamant that Hi-Hat would come back for him, and so I don't know. I believed him. I was like, I think I'd rather have like a trap for Hi-Hat than nothing at all, you know?
Yeah. And this guy did know certain things. Like he knew Hi-Hat had escaped quote unquote, had been pulled towards this pirate dimension. And he told us that each hat that Hi-Hat has is bonded to a different dimension, which we sort of knew, I think. I think we knew as players, but I don't think your characters knew, or at least didn't have it confirmed.
Yeah, like we inferred that like since Silrona has one hat and can teleport to Cowboy Dimension, and Hi-Hat has like 10 hats.
Yeah.
Which we actually found out later is like she shows he has 9 hats, but he has a super secret 10th hat that's smaller than all the other hats. So
yeah, he keeps it under a different hat.
Yeah, I don't know. Tim is literally a god. I was like, how is this like B villain like because Hi-Hat's a bad guy, but he's just a hired gun. He's not actually the bad guy. There's another dude that got revealed later that he's actually working for. But it's like, how is this like B villain hired gun mercenary has so many like layers to him? And like I'm here trying to put up a paper thin bad guy. He's like, ooh, this person's evil. And Tim's like, yeah, there's actually 10 hats, but you can't see the 10th one. And we're like, wah!
It goes to some sort of like tiny dimension or something.
That's what I want to know. What does the small hat mean? So many questions I have. Like, what are the 10 dimensions in Tim's world?
Well, we know the bandit we captured came from a steam dimension. We know there's a fantasy dimension. We know there's a cowboy dimension. There's a tiny dimension, pirate dimension, and I don't know if we know.
And there's like another steam dimension, but like
with a train whistle.
Steam. Yeah, with a train whistle. So one's like steampunk, and the other one is like steam.
Like on a train or something.
Yeah, I bet it's just like I don't know. It's just England. It's just like
like Victorian.
Tim, yeah, Victorian England or something. I don't know what place would be steamy.
Yeah,
Ugh.
maybe. But then what are the other like 4?
I just want to get his hats. I want to beat up Hi-Hat, beat up this bad guy, and then take all his hats. You know what? I feel like the hats are very important to Tim's alleged third story because the hats seem like such a powerful device. You know what I mean? Being able to hop dimensions is all sorts of timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, right? So it's like that stuff is like highly volatile and in the wrong hands. Right now it's in with a not random, but like a hobgoblin mercenary. But I don't know. It feels like if you have the power to travel dimensions and you're like a super duper evil bad guy with super duper end of world plans, it'll be bad.
Yeah.
So funny that this came off of my gag character. Like Silrona is such a fucking gag character. And now I feel like I've gone through character development. Like I'm like so sad. I'm sad, Silrona's sad. Anyway, back to
So we did manage to rescue Deputy Silrona's rat familiar.
Yeah, I know. My rat familiar, also a gag character. Because we beat up Glassstaff, right?
Yeah. And
Glassstaff had a rat familiar, and I think I rolled really high on like I think it was I don't know what it was, but I was like, it just whatever roll I made. Tim was like, oh yeah, you find Glassstaff's familiar. And I was like, okay, cool. Let me look up what Enhanced Familiar does, and I'll just take him on, because like I don't want this poor little rat man to not have a home, right? He's a little man, so let me take care of him, right? And then I found out that you can give the familiar skills, and diplomacy was one of the skills. So I gave him diplomacy, and there was a situation with a certain necromancer that we had to talk him out of. We didn't want to fight him, because he had a bunch of zombies and like a big army of zombies. And we're like, oh, dude, someone should diplomatize with him. And I was like, wait, my rat has the best diplomacy out of all of us.
He truly does.
and I gave him, he can speak common. So then we set this little rat lawyer out, and then deputy was born.
Yeah, just a simple rat lawyer.
Just a simple rat lawyer. And then since Silrona's whole point of Silrona's like cowboy dimension powers was that I couldn't make some sessions, but we didn't want people not to play. So I was like, okay, my hat's cursed. I'll teleport away, right, to the cowboy dimension, and I'll leave a horseshoe behind, and it's like fine. And then anytime I'm able to pop back in, or like I'll join the next session, you could just start off. We don't have to like shoehorn any reason why like I'm gone or whatever, right? So but yeah, so deputy would come with me, and turns out deputy just became the actual deputy
of the town.
of the town.
Yeah, he outranks you.
Yeah, he outranks me, and I was like, that's appropriate. I don't know anything about law. This man needs to read these prisoners their rights, right? So,
Yeah, funnily enough, the episode, because I was going back through our recaps to look for a specific thing, and the episode where we talk about the rat lawyer was when a certain something else came up that we'll get into later.
No, really?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay,
they're both in the thumbnail.
You're in for it, folks. Yeah, you're in it for it, folks, man. All right.
So yeah, we talked to this bandit. He came from the steampunk dimension. And we pretty much headed back into town after the bandit mentioned that Hi-Hat might be coming back for him. So I had to resist the urge. I was just gonna trap him in an aqueous orb until he drowned, but fine.
Vicious, Teagues, vicious.
She listened to the call, man. The switch has been flipped.
True.
So yeah, we did head back into town. We went back to the ranch where Betsy works, who we got the horses from, who Teagues had a charm to get the horses from. We brought most of the horses back, but we lost the donkey Rickety, who I had assumed would find his way back home, but obviously did not. And then to compound Silrona's pain, he had to explain to Susie, this small girl that apparently loved Rickety, that Rickety was gone.
Yeah. And I was just like, Tim, don't do this to me right now. I had to explain to this small girl why her donkey was gone. The girl hates me and kicked me, and I was like, I guess I deserve this.
Yeah, and then we went back to the sheriff's office, and Casey was there, and Casey was the guy who was guarding that caravan we came across before, and one of the passengers had died. And
Mitchell. Yeah. Casey's Big Gun Mitchell, dude with a giant cannon.
Like a literal cannon. Yeah, and then he was just talking to us about all of that, and we did lock the bandit away, and Casey fully planned to hang this guy at dawn.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the sheriff's dead too.
Oh my god! Yeah. Yes, the sheriff was dead. That was the other thing.
When Hi-Hat went to take deputy, he shot the sheriff, but he didn't shoot the deputy.
I guess not.
All right. Yeah. Right. And it's like I was like, oh man, the sheriff's definitely dead if Hi-Hat shot him. Like, we're heroes. The deputy is like or the sheriff's just like an NPC that Ted probably didn't even have stats for. So that dude's definitely dead. And Tim's like, nah, he's not dead. We get to the sheriff office. Casey's there, he has the sheriff badge. I'm like, Casey's like, the sheriff's dead.
Yeah, he didn't say he was dead. But I mean, I feel like it was a logical conclusion.
He heavily implied, and that was like the third strike.
Sheriff plus Hi-Hat.
Fallon died. Rickety's lost.
Susie's mad. That other girl died in the caravan. Sheriff Durham is dead.
Oh my god. What a mess everything has become. Which is like, I both love the drama and I hate it at the same time.
Oh, it is so spicy.
Yeah.
But we did interrogate that guy a bit more. I overthought a glyph trap that I didn't even end up doing anything with. The guy revealed that, so there are certain bonded items for each dimension, like the cowboy hat, and we did learn that the item not like the cowboy hat, like there's a horseshoe that you leave behind, there's a pirate eye patch that gets left behind when you go to the pirate dimension, and for the steampunk world that this guy is from, it's a brass cog. But Hi-Hat, of course, as we learned, he's able to snatch up the token that gets left behind when he teleports. So he has he can't go back to that specific spot, but he's not so vulnerable that people know where he's going to be when he teleports back in.
Yeah, so the mechanics behind it is that you can teleport back to that dimension roughly in the same area, but not at the exact same spot that you left.
Yeah.
Which means that, I mean, we had now we can confirm that when Hi-Hat kind of pulled up behind Teagues' dad, it was because they planted like a horseshoe or one of his items near the docks where he was standing. So, another thing that we can, reasonably look out for. Like, if we knew all the hats and all the trinkets, then, we can keep an eye out for them. But as far as we know, it's like if he can sneak an item to like where we're vulnerable, he can just show up and, ice us. So
yeah, we know 3 of them out of the 10.
Yeah, at least 3 of them. Which, I mean, again, I think it's so cool, and there's so many layers to this random bad guy.
I'm super curious what Tim's notes look like for this guy. Like, if there's a whole table of like the thing that gets left behind and the specific hat and the dimension and.
It's too cool, damn it! It's too cool. I wish I invented Hi-Hat.
This guy's a classic.
Yeah, like now I'm like rethinking, like, am I even a GM? like, what have I been doing all these years?
What about that guy with the bombs?
What?
Wait, you know what? No, what about Lance LePants, the greatest villain that we've ever faced?
Okay, true. All right, but Lance is different. Lance is like, Lance like hits the players where they're most vulnerable in their hearts. You know what I mean? Like, he's not even bad. He's just an idiot.
That's worse sometimes.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you guys love Lance. He's not a bad villain. He's a good villain. But like, Hi-Hat's a bad man. Like, I don't have any bad men around in my game. I don't know. We'll see if I can invent my own Hi-Hat. I'll show you, Tim. I'll murder my players too.
Oh no! I'm one of those. So yeah, we left the bandit behind after some interrogation. We did loot the entire bandit camp, so we've got like 7,500 US dollars in 1800 times. So there was this whole discussion about converting that from 1800s cash to gold and then to gold coins.
Yeah, like how many ounces like it was to a gold, like how much dollars for gold back then, and how much we can convert that into gold coins based on like how much a gold ingot is worth in Pathfinder, which was a significant amount of money.
Yeah.
Turns out. I'm pretty sure like we had about like 2,000 gold between us all.
Yeah.
Including our own personal stuff. And to be fair, I think it was about time that we got like a bunch of money dumped on us. It was feeling like it was like, oh, we need to upgrade.
Yeah, we haven't had a shopping trip for like a while, and it was in like a small town before, so yeah, we had to get fitted out for certain things. But we did manage to teleport back into the fantasy dimension. And then Teeks immediately went off to check on her father, Henrik, because we had left him behind at a healer's shop. So we went there to check on him, and we saw him. I mean, last time we saw him, he got literally shot in the head. So the fact that he's alive at all is a miracle. But the shop owner, Faldrin, he had to like patch him up using some metalwork as well. He was pretty rough when we first saw him. He still can't like talk or like move his mouth, but he was at least happy to see that Teeks was safe. And when we went there to see him, we also saw that Faldrin was talking to a rat-like figure who he asked to go get some tea, and then that figure returned, and we were introduced to Slider, the new character being played by Fallon's player. Who pretty sure is an alchemist. I don't know if... I mean, yeah, it's pretty much confirmed at this point.
Yeah, it was... because we were like... We had this whole thing about how to get Foundry to do alchemist stuff.
Yeah.
But, I feel like every time we take one step in understanding how Foundry works with Pathfinder 2E, we're always like, but then we hit a wall again, and we're like, damn it.
Yeah, because there's always like learning some new thing, and then it's like, oh, that's how it works here, and then it's learning to do a new thing.
You know what? I also think we'll get there.
Okay.
I just realized something. Maybe I'll take this offline before I just start talking about Foundry. But yeah, so we got introduced to Slider, which was cool because I'm pretty sure he's a Ysoki, which is like a Starfinder race, probably.
It's called Ysoki in Starfinder. I don't know if it's called something different in Pathfinder, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah, it's like Master Splinter.
Exactly.
Which may or may not have been one of my backup character ideas.
Ooh.
Pretty cool.
But yeah. We did have a discussion on whether to resurrect Fallum, and we all turned to his best pal, his bro, Bren, to see what Bren thought, and Bren believed that we should follow Fallum's wishes of having an epic Viking funeral. So Teeks asked permission from her father if we could use his boat, and of course Henrik Navis took a real liking to Fallum because they were both sailors. So we went back to Teeks' old home, we put Fallum in the boat, and it was pushed off with a gust of wind scroll, and then set ablaze with a fireball. And it was a it was a very slapdash, clunky funeral, but it was extremely appropriate for this party.
Yeah, it was real last minute put together.
Yeah.
But still, the feels were there. It's tough when you. I think that like when a player character dies, you should always kind of hold a funeral and at least like reminisce a little bit, even though you want to keep playing. But it's like I feel like if we've been playing like at least. What are we, like 30 sessions in or something like that? Maybe not too much, but that feels a little much. But yeah, it just kind of sucks. But I think I don't know. Fallon's player was happy, so I was like, let's do it. We're sitting around in Teeks' dad's house, right?
Exactly.
Kind of, I guess drinking.
Yeah.
Like it's a funeral. Or like I don't know.
And then what gets brought out? But this golden statue that Teeks has been carrying around and feeling over encumbered by.
Like literally?
Literally. So this is a statue from when we were doing the Phandalin adventure that a non-evil character can ask any question and it will give the truthful, correct answer, but they can only ask once. They can never use the statue again. And Teeks had used it to ask like where her mother was, because she knows her mother is a sea hag. And she's never met her, but Teeks has been, developing her magic and everything, wanted to know where her mother was. And the answer she got back from the statue was where your father left her, which was a great, vague answer.
That was good. That was also super good. It was also one of those moments where, like, what the hell am I doing with my life? I was like, that's brilliant. Shit. That's both actionable and vague.
Exactly, the perfect answer.
Kill me now.
So that's something she did talk to her father about, but as this statue was sitting up there on the mantle, Sorona asked it a question: who is the guy that Hi-Hat is working for? And he picked up the statue, and then he heard the answer from the statue, which I assume Tim sent you in like a Discord message.
Yeah.
And what did that message say?
It said the Wyvern, and like actually, Sorona has never heard that name before.
No, you wouldn't have.
He was like the Wyvern.
So, yeah, when I heard this name, I was like, did we meet a wyvern? Because we met a dragon. I don't remember meeting a wyvern. So I went back to my notes, I pressed Control F, and I type out wyvern. And I go searching through, and it's like, oh, Wyvern Tor. Yeah, we passed through that place. That's an interesting place. And then, so many moons ago, when we were recapping an earlier session of this game. It was episode 40 of the podcast that we were talking.
What? Episode 40? Oh
Yeah.
my god. That's like years ago.
Yeah, it was 2021.
Whoa.
Because I wanted to go back to see what we said about this guy. So, one of the things we had to deal with near the town of Phandalin was just this necromancer that was hanging out there, and he was near like a town's water source, and he kept fending the townspeople off. And we had to do some favors for him to get him to stop doing that. And one of them was dealing with some orcs that were also outside of his area, and they were close to the town. I think the townspeople may have mentioned them also, so it's like, you know, two birds, same stone, basically. And at the time, Calvo and Sulrona were in the party, but they weren't present. So it was just Bren, Thalum, and Teeks. And we had come across the orc cave hideout, and they had a single orc guard watching the entrance to the cave. And Teeks had done a charm spell on him and tried to be all friendly-like. They were having a conversation. The orc, she asked the orc's name. The orc didn't have a name. So Teeks gave him the name Wyvern, just because we were in a place that used to be a resting area for wyverns. And I just thought it was a cool name. And he gave her a hug. It was too tight. I had to roll a fortitude save and I lost 1 HP. So at this point, Teeks didn't want to kill this orc, but we had to get rid of the orcs that were in the cave. So after asking him like how many were in there or like how many were in his tribe or whatever, she sent him off to go look for like enhancements to his armor. And he ran off all excitedly thinking that he could go kill an owlbear and add the owlbear skull to his armor. So he went off, and then we went in the cave, and then like you and like Sorona and Calvo came back, so we had the whole combat there. We fought an ogre, it was pretty tight. But after that, as we were leaving the area sometime later, we had rested up overnight, and Teeks was listening to see if she could like get a track wyverns, see if he could come back or anything like that. But he didn't show up overnight, so as we were leaving the area, at some point later, we heard this cry of despair in the winds as Wyvern returned to find his entire orc tribe just thoroughly slaughtered. And no one cared except Teeks.
My god.
And we didn't think about it since. Like, there was an owlbear encounter, and he got brought up again, just like a little bit, but since that, like, point, like, no one has brought him up at all.
Which is crazy to me. Like, episode 40? How many episodes we've had since then?
Right?
Like, one of the best parts is that of doing this podcast is that we get to we have like a record of this campaign.
Yeah.
And we can like feel like how long it took us to get here. And like how long Tim's been goddamn plotting.
Yeah. Like, there was a joke about him becoming like an orc Batman, and that's pretty much what's in the thumbnail for that episode.
Yo. Oh, yes. We did make Batman. Oh no. Calvin, we were the alley and the pearls.
Yup.
Shit. Yeah. Which was like a crazy revelation, I think. Which was so awesome too. I think Tim's been waiting so long for this to pay off too, right?
Yeah.
And he held it close to the chest, like actually really close. And you know, I think we had the magic MacGuffin device. So at any point we could have just asked, but you know, we never had like a calm moment to do it. And I think like, you know, the somber feeling after a funeral, and like we're all sitting there kind of reminiscing. Like I think as characters, or like in my head, that's what we're all sitting around like in Teeks' house, kind of like half drunk drinking or whatever, and like we're like, wait a minute, let's talk to the statue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, the actual realization as the players being like, oh my god, Wyvern.
Yeah, and it was Bren that put together, we came after his family, now he's coming after ours. Because Bren was there. Bren and Fallum and Teeks were the ones that saw Wyvern. And that's why Bren's sister almost got kidnapped by those dragon cultists, and Teeks' father was targeted by Hi-Hat, and that's why Deputy and Sheriff Durham were killed by Hi-Hat.
Yeah. You know, like it was just like I could not even imagine that this one orc out of the thousands of other people like we've like, you know, destroyed their lives being adventurers, he has the power to become like a true villain to us. But to be fair, I guess we're the villains in his life.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I think also the sinking feeling that like, oh shit, we caused this was like, and then that's the reason why it's called
Unintended consequences.
Oh, it was like fucking brilliant. Like,
yeah, because like we knew we had met some dragon cultists before, and Sylvain was tied to Hi-Hat, so I thought it was just like all our enemies are working together for some reason. I didn't realize who was the mastermind behind all of that.
Yeah, like who brought all these dudes together?
Yeah.
To be like, we need to get these people.
And then we just start listing like every single person we know that could be a target.
We're like, oh my. Yeah, we're like, wait a minute. Quick, get a piece of paper, write down everybody we know. Which was also super fun because we also got to like, you know, talk about all the NPCs we met. Like, it was such a, I don't know, I think coming off of a really, really tense boss fight that, like, you know, we didn't like finish off so on a high note, coming up pretty low, and then getting this cool like realization and being like, oh my god, and like, I don't know, it felt like to me like now we have a clear goal.
Yeah.
Right? Now we have like a dude to get, and I'm just like the whole thing kind of snapped back into focus for at least me as a player, and I'm like, okay, good. Now I feel like we have some direction, because I was feeling a little aimless before. Yeah. But
now we know what to do, because from a conversation that we had earlier, Bren discovered a map in Teeks' home that her father made, and it had an island that wasn't on any other actual map of the coast. And it was suspected that's where Teeks' mother could be, and if either Wyvern or Hi-Hat were able to get close enough to leave something behind for Hi-Hat to teleport to, they could have seen the map. We were also planning on like figuring out like, can we go to Phandalin and check on everyone there? Do you have to go to Cavo's home? Like where are all the places we should go to? But going to this mystery island seemed to be the next course of action.
Yeah, which is like, I'm pretty stoked. I love witches and hags and stuff, so I'm excited to see Tim's take on it. And I don't know, just even the reveal of like Teagues' mom, like the island, because like it wasn't even Teagues that noticed it, because that was sitting in her house, I mean, presumably like her whole life, right?
Yeah.
But you know, when you have stuff in your house and you just grew up there, you never really pay attention to it because it's just always been there. But it took like Bren being like, you know, Ranger being pretty versed in the Third Coast because he travels all around, being like, that island's not supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Right? Why is this island different from all the other maps that, like, you know, that I've seen or sketched out or whatever? And it's just like, I don't know, I think that I'm super happy to be in this campaign. Like, I'm just like,
Same.
what the fuck? What am I doing?
We did also, we also told Slider, because he was part of Thalem's ship crew, we told Slider to stick with us because we had no way of knowing, because like Hi-Hat couldn't always teleport purposely, we had no way of knowing if or when Wyvern would find out that Thalem was already dead. So we might be targeting other people of Thalem's crew, so we just said to Slider, like, you should probably stick around for a bit, because this guy is probably, like, it's not impossible that he might come after you.
Yeah, we don't know who he's actually supposed to be targeting, or, you know, or what's going on, so yeah, man, it's wild. So yeah, and then we like after all that, we just like decided, like, all right, like,
let's go shopping.
Like, yeah, we had like a bunch of money and we had to gear up because the last fight did not go well. So, you know, lesson learned. We got.
It's like that scene in the first Matrix where like that long rack of guns shows up, but it's full like wands and staffs.
Yeah, it's like wands and staffs. Like, just like getting geared up.
Yeah, I got a new staff. I got some healing gloves, which was, I mean, I'm going over my spells as well. I'm just trying to figure out like what I could possibly use, because I don't know what to expect. if we do encounter Wyvern, I don't know what he's capable of now.
Yeah, like, or if Hi-Hat just shows up too. And then I think it's super fun that Hi-Hat has like again, Hi-Hat has this menagerie of
Right.
villains that he can pull from 10 different dimensions. Like, he could just have more steampunk dudes, more dudes with guns. Like, I apparently went to the pirate dimension. What if he has a ship? I don't know.
What if he comes back with pirates? Yeah, but like for Hi-Hat, I had ideas. Because I was like, okay, I'll try to lock him down as best I can. Let's get spells that do that. For Wyvern, I have no idea what to expect. I don't know what to plan for
like,
that.
does this dude just become like a wizard? Does he have a Wyvern? I don't know. Did he kill that owlbear? So many questions, man. So many questions. Like, how strong is this dude? But, yeah, so, you know, we all strapped up, and then we spent all of our money. I think it was, I told everybody, I was like, just spend it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter, right?
The majority
like,
of it.
don't hold on to it because, like, it doesn't serve you for dead, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so, you know, we're all geared up, and then
I did, like, the worst possible thing that a character could do, because Teeks' father does not want Teeks to go see her mother. He said as much when Teeks brought it up and tried to get information out of him. But then Teeks is like, no, I have to go there because this guy might be targeting her, and if we don't stop him, he's gonna harm all my friends and you. And then she said, I'll be back soon, Dad, don't worry about me. And that was the last thing she said, and who knows how that's gonna go.
Yeah, and I would argue Teeks is a little bit of she's the linchpin of this operation. Like, Teeks actually keeps us alive, so
Yeah.
oof. I don't know, man. It's gonna be wild. I don't know what Tim's gonna do, but I'm scared and excited.
Same.
But yeah, we booked a cart ride because we're gonna go down to town that's off the coast.
Yeah, so we're going to Neverwinter first, and then we head south further. I forget the name of the place that we're going to after that. I'd have to see the map, but Neverwinter first.
Yeah, and then so we booked the cart, but then everything was fine until a random miner-looking guy kind of came out of the woods and stopped the cart and was asking for help.
This guy. So he was calling for help because he claimed there was a mine collapse that trapped his children within the mine. And he was sort of holding up the cart, so we kind of poked our heads out and decided, hey, we're adventurers, let's get involved. You know that thing you do when you're playing an RPG and something happens and you make it your business?
Yeah, I think that I know I was like geared up because we spent most of the session kind of shopping and talking. And I was like, we could do I don't think Tim's doing anything. Like, I had a feeling Tim wasn't gonna do anything crazy. So I was like, yeah, let's do some combat. I mean, we're all geared up. I think everybody wants to swing all the new weapons they got, right? And I was like, yeah, let's do it. I think I'm down to do a little good, right? And I was like, it didn't seem like it was even gonna be like a fight because, like, kids are just trapped in a mine and we're just gonna dig them out.
Yeah,
right?
we have Calvo. He's an expert miner, literally, and he has a pickaxe. So.
Yeah. So I was like, yeah, this will work, right? Super easy, in and out, like, maybe a couple skill challenges, whatever. That is not what happened.
Nope, not at all.
So we entered the mine, kind of like maneuvering around these tight corridors and, going through a mechanical contraption door where it's like, if you only it's two doors and only one of them can be open at a time, the other one has to be shut so the ladder could be open. So we went through single file and we kind of came to basically this big kind of cavernous section after finding a bunch of rubble that was on the ground, but the rubble was, I think Cavo made the roll to say, like, because he's an expert mine, be like, this cave-in area this was actually a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't recent. And so we were like, oh no, like maybe this isn't the spot. So we explored a little bit further, found this big cave opening, and it was full of bones. And we're like, oh no.
Yeah, it was as we went in there, we ended up running into a spider the size of an elephant.
Yes, an ogre spider.
that was very poisonous. And we ended up having to do battle with this spider that managed to quickly web up Bren. Sorona struck it with magnetic acceleration, rather. I was like, oh, it's just a big spider, it's fine. So I tried just like a simple ice ray cantrip, and it didn't work. So I was like, oh, maybe this is a problem. Calvo started battering this thing with the new Ring of the Ram because we all wanted to use our new toys.
Yeah, which was super cool because he got blasted in my way, but the spider came back, and Bren's actually arachnophobic, so
yeah,
which is like Bren's character didn't get any negs to their roles mechanically, but man, did the dice were like Bren needs to die by the spider. Like I'm pretty sure the only couple of I think the spider only attacked maybe 3 times or something like that, and 2 of them against Bren, and it rolled nat 20s twice, and I was like, man, Bren is really arachnophobic.
Aggressively so.
Aggressively arachnophobic, dude. The more Chibi plays Bren, the more I'm like, I can't tell if you're she's not fudging dice, but it's just very funny how the dice kind of just plays with the character.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Bren used to just not shoot his bow when he was clearly better at using the bow, except he always rolled a crit and always just one-shot every dude he met with his punches. And I'm like, what? What's happening here? Anyway.
So Brennan's struggling with his arachnophobia. But unfortunately, the spider is able to take Bren down. And then that is kind of when things start getting serious. Sorona moves in a bit closer as he casts Burning Hands, and then Calvo's moving into different flanking positions after Bren goes down. And Slider was just staying back a bit more, throwing bombs on top of the spider. Which I think we were able to avoid the splash because the spider was just so big.
Yeah, the spider was bigger than the splash area, and I think it's now that we're also combat wise, I think the team dynamic we're two frontline fighters, 3 range fighters.
Mm-hmm.
So when Bren went down with a crit, by the way, so we're like, oh my god, it's gonna be another foul.
Yeah,
we just lost the character. I was like, I shall present to my booty to be chomped. So I was like, there's no way they're gonna roll another crit. I'll be fine, right? So I put my dumbass up there to present Tim a juicy butt to thing, and I just, I looked back at Teagues and I told her to stop fucking around.
Yeah, you're right.
I was like, yo, take this serious, man. This thing's gonna kill us.
Yeah, so I had I was thinking I don't want to use something big on this guy, but things were getting pretty dire, so I did put a flaming spear out there, and then I was taking some time to sustain it and then stabilize Bren, and also had to stabilize Sorona at one point.
Yeah, because Sorona obviously got chomped on and died. Went unconscious because I have 20 AC. It's fine. I'm not supposed to be there, but I think I needed to get up there and to give Cable some flanking and give Bren another target other than Bren's unconscious corpse, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
But Teagues got the final kill with their flaming sphere, which was pretty good. Or final.
Yeah, the final blow. As she helped bring, I think, Sorona back to his feet at the time. And then she just felt enraged that the spider nearly killed 2 of her friends. So this flaming spear just narratively, it just burst up out of the ground and then just tore through this spider. Mechanically, it just failed a reflex save, but narratively.
Narratively, it was full of rage.
Yeah.
And so then we're all getting back up, and we're like, oh my god, this sucks. Why was that dude such a dick and bring us down here? We're gonna help these kids. So then the party just went out the cave, and Teagues had something to say to that, man.
Yeah, I've been trying to remember the spell that I used on this guy.
I think it was a focus spell. It was Impending Doom.
Is that it?
I think so.
Maybe. I don't know. I think so. Um, hopefully I used it correctly because I was trying to find it and I was like, was this even on the primal spell list? But anywho, so Teeks being full of anger at this point and being back in the fantasy dimension where she can probably hear the call a bit more clearly. She just cast a spell on this guy to apply like this intense fear effect onto him, as well as do damage. And he's just like a normal NPC, so he critically failed this save, and he just like died in this state of incredible fear. And then Teeks was a bit more, I guess, hag-like in that moment, as she was tearing through this guy's mind.
Yeah, I thought it was wild because, like, you know, the guy was like, he's saying, "Oh, did you kill her? Oh no! Like, how are you back?" He was so surprised, and before he could even finish that sentence or say anything, Teeks just murders him in the really horrific way, and we all saw that and we're like, all right, just moved on. It kind of felt good to be back in fantasy land. We had a lot of rules in Cowboy Dimension because, you know, we're trying to like keep the peace, but Fantasyland is a little bit you know, a little bit lawless, a little bit more lawless than Cowboy Dimension. So
yeah, I'm sure there won't be consequences.
A lot. Yeah, I mean, we took his, I think we took his body, chucked it back in the mine, and Kalo broke the entrance, so it caved in.
Yeah.
And we're like, that's done.
Slider was very disconcerted.
Yeah, Slider was like, oh my god, this lady just literally killed him horribly. And also, why do we have to fight that spider? I don't know how long Slider's gonna hang out with us, but
I mean, he's in danger if he leaves. I still think, like, if Wyvern's gonna come after anyone, it's gonna be Fallum's crew, and Slider was in Fallum's crew, so
that's true. But we got back onto the caravan or the cart, and yeah, we continued on.
Yeah.
You know, I think the miner had like a journal on him, and it was basically, I don't know how to get into it.
He did describe. So Tim did describe the motivations of that miner. I kind of want to get into. I want to have Tim on the podcast again so we can get into this more. Because I also think that this makes for a great like random event to put into a game, and I would love if we could put something like that out there for people to use. But I also want to get into him with it, so I don't want to spoil too much about it. But the miner deserved it, is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, the miner definitely deserved it. It was wild. It felt like, you know, you're just wandering through the woods in Skyrim, and then like you just go like, you know, a random event happens. It felt like a Skyrim event in like the best possible way. Like it was such a small. It was an encounter, but it had like a story to it, right? It felt good. I think it was a little random. Not like it was like, sorry, it was like a random event, but it still had like a story and a conclusion, like, you know, people doing things, like why they were doing it. It wasn't just like a random goblin attack or whatever. So
yeah,
you know, it was cool.
Exactly.
I liked it.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna give me some, you know, like when I go back to fix my random tables, it's definitely gonna give me some inspiration. But yeah, that was the entirety of the session. So much happened, and I don't even know what I'm gonna say to Wyvern, because I gotta figure we'll meet him at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know what Teeks is going to say to this guy, because I don't know what state Teeks is gonna be in, and when after she sees her mother, I don't know what is gonna happen to Teeks, like, mentally.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully we also don't get like witchified or whatever. I'm sure that maybe Teeks' mom might like us because we're Teeks' friends, so hopefully you know, we're not to like fight Teeks' mom because, you know, witches be witching, you know. So I don't want to. We'll see, but I'm excited. And again, Tim has showed me how I should probably improve my GM once again. I am not the greatest storyteller in the entire world. I've been humbled once again by Tim.
Nah, you're good. You're great. Look, we played back when we were like drawing maps on the dry erase board, and we had a ton of fun. So don't even trip. There's different flavors of fun.
There's different flavors of fun. But yeah, I think that would be the show, folks.
Yeah. Gosh, I don't even know what else to say about this game other than it was great. Hey, if you actually, as we roll into the outro, for people who are, playing and running games out there, if you have a villain that's come up in your game that you just really enjoyed, leave a comment below about them, because we'd love to hear about that sort of thing. As well, since you're scrolling down, why not check out the description, where we have links to all of our stuff and all the awesome people we've interviewed on the show and all their cool Lancer stuff that they've put out. We have gaming streams on the channel, Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Kind of had to take a week off for work stuff, but if you want to see, right now it's Gotham Knights, it's Skyrim, and Mass Effect 2. So if you want to see all of that, just be sure to check out the channel. There's also shorts on the channel now. Just kind of did those as an experiment for a week to see how they turned out. So far, all that I've learned is that people like Skyrim. Which I feel like I already knew.
I know, I was like, wow, shocking conclusion.
Shocking revelations.
Yeah, people like Skyrim, turns out. I'm telling you, man, that is apparently the greatest game ever created.
Right?
But, I don't really know how, they're ever gonna top Skyrim. I mean, I guess they'll just have to do Skyrim in another place, but just put as much nonsense in it that makes that game great. Like,
yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, because Skyrim certainly has a head start, so whatever they make next is going to need like a decade to cook.
It's true.
But yeah, that's what's going on the channel. As well, I made a few videos of all the Dungeon 23 stuff that I've been doing, just weekly videos, so people can get, updated each week. Haven't done one for this week yet. I'll see if it's out by Wednesday. It's going to be a very busy week for me, so that might not be out by Wednesday. But I think that's all we have for now. Ramon, anything else you want to say before we head off?
Nope. Good to go.
Alright, well, for all of our vengeance plotting players and GMs out there, just remember to keep on winning with dice, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.